am back with you with part 2 of the Zesty shawl, where we assemble our top and put a nice little border on it, a very simple border. Now, if you remember from the first video, this is what the pattern looks like. This will probably need to be blocked, but I probably won't do it because I'm not much of a blocker. Anyway, so I got both my panels here. Now, if you remember from the first video, I showed you which side was the wrong side and which side was the right side. So what you want to do when you are done with your panels is you want to put the wrong sides facing outward. So this, even though I have it laying in this way, the wrong side is going to be outward. And I am going to take my other panel and I am going to bring it to the top and kind of connect these two together. I'm going to bring this down. And I hope this makes sense when I explain it. Now, I'm not one for exact measurements as far as figuring out the neck hole and the armholes. I don't count each stitch across. I go by the pattern. So I know that I myself require a fairly small neck hole unless I want it off the shoulders. So I'm going to start when I figure out mine, okay? I line up the edges and I line up the holes, okay? Because if you remember, you ended on the repeat where you did the last top hole, okay? So I'm just going to line them up because they do line up, and that makes it so much easier for me. And you see, I'm going to go to my second hole here. And over on this side, I also have a second hole. I got the one here, which lines up with the back panel. And then I got this one here, which also lines up with the back panel. So if you line up your panels and you have them lined up correctly, all the holes line up together. As you can see, you don't see stitches through the holes here. So for me, I'm going to line up my neck holes. I go 2 of these holes over. So 1 here, 2 here. And I know that I don't need to bring it to the middle holes because then my neck would only be like that. So I know when I line up the 2 holes, I probably need to come about halfway between the second hole and this third hole here, okay? And this is just for me. You can be more specific and measure and then figure that out. But if you remember, there's 10 stitches in between the holes there, okay? So I am going to go, I know my neck hole needs to be right about here, okay? Because I don't like to show a lot of my neckline. And I like it to have some looseness, but not a whole lot. So I'm going to figure my neck hole from the first stitch past the hole here. And I'm going to go in, let's see, the first stitch, 1, and then 2, and then 3, 4, 5. That should be about right. So I see I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before these 2 holes. So I am going to start sewing my panels together. I'm going to count those 5 stitches back over again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the 6th one over here, I am going to start sewing my panels together. Now, everybody sews their panels differently. You can whip stitch or however you want to do it. I just stick it through those stitches there, and I just kind of tie a knot. Make sure all the stitches are lined up. And I am just going to take my panel, stick it through both the loops on the top stitch, and just sew across. Now I like to go back and forth, and that's just me. And the nice thing about using a solid yarn is you don't have to worry about other colors coming through. And I'm just going to sew this all the way down to the edge. And when I get done with that, I'll meet you back here. Also, actually, I'll probably meet you over here because you're going to do the same on this side, and you're going to do the same on this side. So figure out what your neck hole should be, okay? Sew up from your neck hole over to the edge on this side, and then you're just going to repeat the same on this side. So I'll meet you when both of my shoulders have been sewn together. Okay, so I've got both my shoulders sewn up. I've got my neck hole here. It's the perfect size. I will end up sewing these in, but this is a great neck hole size for me. Again, you know, it's up to you. You can take exact measurements. You can count exact stitches across. I just found that the pattern lines up so well that I can just count the holes on over instead of individual stitches until I got to this middle part here. So the way I do it, the back and forth on my sewing, this is how it sews up. And this is how I like it. So you can do slip stitches, you can do whip stitches, you can sew it up by means of single crochet. But as you can see, this is how it sews up the way I do it. And I like it that way. So once you get both your shoulders sewn up, now we got to figure out the armholes. Okay. So I know that my armhole, okay, will probably be about like this because I've done garments before. So I have a pretty good idea of my armhole. Now, what you might want to do, okay, is if you've never made a garment before, just figure out your own armhole size, okay? Try it on. Put some stitch markers. You're going to want some stitch markers to line up your sides here. Some people, they can do it no problem without stitch markers. I use stitch markers because it helps me keep everything aligned and in the perfect order. So I'm going to line up these holes, and I'm going to line up these holes, and I know that on my arm right about here, okay, these two double crochets right here and this third hole down the side is where I will want my armhole. So I'm going to grab I forgot to grab my stitch markers. I'm going to grab those really quick. They're just out of reach. Okay, and I'm going to grab some stitch markers. Okay, and you can put as many stitch markers as you need along the edge. That helps you. Okay, so I am going to put a stitch marker here. What I've used to make and sell stitch markers, but I kind of lost a love for it. Maybe that won't last forever, but I am going to start my stitches right here. And when I sew up my sides, I don't like to start at the bottom here and go up. I like to start where my armhole ends. So it's, for me, my armhole starts up here and ends right here. Okay. So I start right here and then I sew down this way. So I'm going to line these up. Again, I'm going by the little hole here. And I'm just going to bring it together. And where did I put that other stitch marker? Of course, it was, there it is. Okay. So now I'm on the side view of my top. And I'm just going to kind of line these up together. And on the very end, I'm going to find that double crochet and line my yarn, my stitch markers up with those very end holes there. Okay, so again, it's just like the shoulders, okay? So I'm going to start right here on the bottom part for my armhole. You see there's the double crochet right here. I'm going to start, oh, right about here, I think. I'm just going to make a little knot here so that my tail, I like to keep long tails because I like to sew it in multiple times. Okay, so I am just going to put a little knot there, and again I'm just going to sew back and forth on my garment. The way I'm doing it now is how I roll, so I'm just going to sew back and forth. Try and evenly space the stitches. You don't want them too far apart, because then it starts to look a little weird. Now, I just want to remind you while I'm doing a little sewing here that this pattern is great for any yarn because and any size, because with the stitch multiple, okay, as long as you have the stitch multiple, you can do anything. At least that's how I see it. As long as you have a stitch multiple, you can do anything. So I'm just going back and forth, and Getting this sewn up the side. And all my tops, they turn out beautifully when I sew like this. And always try on your top. Make sure you know what your measurements are. And by the way, another point about stitch multiples is you don't even have to make a top with this. You know that? You can take that stitch multiple and chain, 120, 160, whatever it is that you want. If you're making a blanket, a baby blanket, maybe chain 120, well, as close to 120 with the stitch multiple, I should say. I won't attempt to do that math in my head, but chain, however many you want, and you can turn this into a blanket. Yes, you can. You don't even have to make a top with this. So I'm just going back and forth, getting my sides sewn up. Again, you don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. You can do single crochet. You can join these sides with a whip stitch, a slip stitch. It's up to you. If you have a favorite way of doing it, you do it that way. Because I'm just giving you the general idea and how I do it. Just kind of giving you a little blueprint. And I'd rather see you be creative, okay, and kind of become your own designer and create your own work of art. So you can totally do this. Anyway, when you are done sewing down this side, you are going to flip it over or flip it around or whatever, and you are going to do the same on the other side. So I am going to finish sewing up this side. I'm going to sew up this side just like I did this first side, and I'll meet you when I have completed that. Okay, so now that you got your shoulders sewn up, you got your armholes right here, you got your neck hole right here, and your sides are all sewn up, okay? Now you're going to flip this right side out. Just like this, okay? So mine's flipped right side out. And right now, I am going to start with my armholes, okay? So I am going to take my armhole, and you see how there's this V right here? I'm going to tell you how to fix that if you don't like it, or at least how I do it. This is all the way I do it for mine. So you're going to make your slip knot, okay? And I'm going to bring this in a little closer now, because now we're crocheting. So you see how there's a hole here and a hole here. I'm going to go up to this spot right above this hole here, okay? And I'm going to slip stitch, maybe. because there aren't going to be actual stitches here yet. Whoop. I just, okay, there we go. And I'm going to chain 1. Bring this in better. I'm going to chain 1, and I am going to try to evenly space out single crochets all the way around my armhole until I get to that V section. So everywhere on the side where there's this double crochet, I'm going to put 2 single crochets. So I start with a slip stitch and a single crochet right here. I'm going to put a single crochet here. So 2 where this chain 3 is. I'm going to skip over this little guy here, and I am going to go to the next and single crochet. I'm going to skip over this little part here, and in this part I'm going to put 2 single crochet, and I'm just sewing in this tail as I go, which I don't normally do, but for video purposes. Okay, I'm going to skip over this. I'm just going to go into here and do a single crochet. Now, if you find that your sleeve is a little bulky or it's puffing out or whatever, go ahead and go down a hook size. So I'm going to put 2 double crochet here, 2 double crochet here, 2 double crochet here, 2 right here, and I'm doing this all the way down. And I've reached my seam right here, okay? I've reached my seam, and I am going to, actually, we have 1 single crochet here, right? So what I'm actually going to do, come to think of it, is I'm going to do 2 single crochets together. So I'm going to start over here. I'm going to skip over this part, and then I'm going to come here and single crochet 2 together. And then I'm going to put 1 more single crochet there, 2 single crochets there, skip over this part like we've been doing, 2 single crochets, two single crochets, go over here, put your 2 single crochets, and we're going to do this all the way around. Keep having to twist the top the more I go around. Okay, trying to keep this in the camera view. Okay, getting close to that V. Okay, so now we're at this V, and we got this little space right here and this little space here. Okay, Actually, I need to take one of those off. So when you get to this V part, you do 1 single crochet. You're going to come in here. Yeah, and keep the 2 loops on your hook. Go back into this side, okay? And single crochet 2 together like that. And that'll help close up that armhole a little bit. And then you're going to slip stitch to your first single crochet. And this is how my sleeve is looking so far. Okay. This is how my sleeve is looking. So now that I've got that little foundation, single crochets, what I did with my top, once I slip stitched into that first single crochet, chain 1, and in that first stitch, I did back loop single crochets. Okay. So I'm going to do back loop single crochets all the way around the sleeve. Now, if you don't want a sleeve at all, you can just stop at this first single crochet row. But if you do want some sleeve, just do back loop single crochets around your armhole. All the way around. And then you're going to slip stitch into both of these loops when you come back around. So I am going to back loop single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you right here. Okay, well, I've come back around after doing my first row of the back loop. All right, I've got one more stitch here to back loop single crochet in, and then I'm going to slip stitch in both the loops of that first single crochet, and I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to go back into that same stitch doing a back loop, which I know it might be a little, well, why am I yarning over? Back loop of that same stitch that you just slip stitched into, and do a back loop single. And you're just going to do this all the way around, no increasing or decreasing, just slip, single crochet, slip stitch all the way around. And you can do this for as many rows as you like. I usually do it for about 4 rows. And actually, it doesn't even have to be single crochets. You can do half double crochets. You can do your little single crochet row to establish all the stitches on your armhole, and then just go ahead and do half double back loop, half double crochets, or you can continue to do back loop single crochets. It's totally up to you. So I am just going to keep doing my single crochet back loop. So when I count my rows, okay, when I say I do 4 rows, what I'm saying is I do 4 rows of the back loop. So this first single crochet row I did right here, I don't count that. I just count that as kind of like a foundation thing. But as far as the back loop rows are concerned, I do a total of 4 on my shirt. So I'm going to finish doing my rows. I'm going to do 4 rows. And what you did on this sleeve, you'll also do on the other sleeve. So finish this armhole, do the other armhole, and then we'll get on to the neck and to this bottom part of your top. Okay, so I just want to say really quick that when I've got my 4 rows of the back loop single crochet around, and it's when you finish your sleeve, you have the rows you want. You will, just like every row, slip stitch into both the top loops of the stitch. Pull your yarn through and then just tie off. Okay. Oh. Right. And this is how the one sleeve looks. I think it's really pretty. What do you think? Okay, so we got that side. I'm going to do the other side. Another thing I wanted to mention in this video is I don't give the amount of stitches that I put around my arm sleeve because everybody's armhole is going to be a different size according to preference or arm size. So just make sure that you have the same amount of stitches on your other sleeve as you do on this sleeve. Okay, and remember, when you get to the V, you're going to do a single crochet 2 together. And when you are on your seam, you're going to single crochet 2 together on either side of the seam. Okay, so I'm going to complete my other arm, and then we'll start on the neck hole, which actually isn't much different than the armhole. So I'll see you here in a few minutes. Okay, so I got my sleeves done. There's one. And here's the other one. Now we're moving on to the neck hole. So you'll want to kind of start in the back. I like to just start right in the middle here. So you have your neck hole. I guess you're going to want to decide what's going to be your back and what's going to be your front. You're going to make your slip knot. And you can start anywhere in the back. I don't think it really matters. But basically, all I'm going to do is single crochets all the way around. I am not going to do back loop on the neck part. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. And I am going to single crochet all the way around it. And I'm going to show you what to do now that we've come to the seam here. So what I'm going to do, because I have 3 stitches or 2 stitches here, actually this is the seam right here, so ignore that little loop there. So you have the 2 stitches on either side. I'm going to, if I can get my, I feel like I'm picking up 3 loops instead of 2. All right, so I am going to single crochet 2 together on that seam part, and then I'm going to continue to single crochet all the way around. Okay, so let me show you that again. Okay, so it looks like you have 3 loops here, but you really don't, because this here is just the stitching for when you sewed your shoulder together. So technically you have a stitch on this side and a stitch on this side. And you are going to single crochet 2 together on those. Skip over that little bump there and single crochet 2 together. Then you're going to continue to single crochet all the way around your neckline. And when you get to the other shoulder seam, you are going to do the same thing and single crochet 2 together, and then continue to single crochet all the way around. So I am going to do that. I'm going to continue to single crochet all the way around, do my single crochet 2 together on the arms, on the shoulder seam, and I'll meet you back when I get back around. Okay, so I have made it back around. I got one more to single crochet into. I'm going to slip stitch to my first single crochet. And I'm going to cut my yarn and tie off. And this is what my neck hole looks like. Hello everyone. I am attaching this to the end of this video. It seems there was a problem with the end of this video. So we did the border for the neck. We created some sleeves. The very end of this video, which I've edited, basically on the bottom part of the top, and yes, I'm wearing the top in the video, the way you did the neck, okay, with the single crochet, and then at the seams, single crochet 2 together. So here's the final instructions that didn't show in the video. You're going to want to do the same at the bottom, on the bottom part of your shirt. So you're going to single crochet all the way around. When you get to the seams, you single crochet 2 together, and you just do single crochet, not back loop, just regular single crochets. I don't know what happened. I was in a big hurry to upload the video, but yeah, it just, I don't know what happened. It's totally my fault because I was in a hurry to upload this video. I didn't get to finish watching like the last 10 or 15 minutes. All of it was fine, and I was just thinking, okay, I'm sure the rest of this video is fine. I'm just going to hurry up and upload it so that those who are making this top can get right, have that part 2 and not be waiting for it. So just to let you know, this is how the top turned out. I think it's really beautiful. I wore it to work today, and I got so many compliments on it, and it made me feel so good. People really love it. So yeah, this is how it turned out. I think you will love it too. Again, this is the very end of the video. Just the very last instruction that I wanted to show was the bottom border, which is pretty much just like the border you put around the neck. So you didn't really miss a whole lot, and you probably would have figured that out anyway. But I thought I'd insert this little clip just to let you know. What happened was, at the very end, if you were someone who saw the original video and saw the last 5 or 6 minutes and how it was just background noise and just showing my table, what happened was I was recording when I thought I paused, and I was paused when I thought I was recording, so I didn't get the very last. Anyway, I'm so sorry for the mistake, but this is the corrected version. I hope you enjoy making this top. I feel absolutely ridiculous. I'm just getting back into the groove of making these videos again. Hopefully the next one will be better. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing and liking my videos. Thank you so much for your patience and getting through this with me. Be kind, do random acts of kindness, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.